Hi, this is Carrie Hummingbird, and this is Soul Nectar, that show that attempts to talk about the almost impossible thing that we could talk about, which is essence and connection to essence. And how do we define what that is, that which is bigger than us? How do we get in touch with it? How do we stay connected with it? And today I'm so delighted to have Daniel Gutierrez on the show. Welcome, Daniel.
Hello, thank you.
Yay! So Daniel, I met in connection with Teresa de Bra, who is founder of the Evolutionary Business Council. And also another point of connection is Don Miguel Ruiz, who is the author of the 4 Agreements, who I love. And Daniel is also connected with Don Miguel Ruiz. So yay, Daniel. So Daniel is an international business consultant, radio personality, renowned motivational speaker, and spiritual teacher who has inspired people to make positive changes that lead to success. Leveraging his experience, his infectious humor, yay humor, because I love humor, and his deep belief that there is greatness in each of us has helped transform individuals all over the world. And so he's based in Los Angeles. He's been on the cover story in Latin Business Magazine. He's in the top 100 Hispanics, along with other extraordinary individuals. So he's also been featured in a documentary film, Luminous Worldviews. That's featured 18 world-renowned thought leaders. That's a big honor. Yay. So Daniel, you're my guinea pig today. You're the next guinea pig that's gonna just kidding. So this is such a difficult question to answer, but I want you to do your best. And I think we learn through stories. Yeah. So if you need to tell us about it through a story, that's perfect. But really, how do you define your connection to essence and what it is? And how did you find it for yourself? And how do you keep a hold of it? Because for me, it can be fleeting. So tell us more.
Yeah, it's the funny thing about essence is that essence is an experience, not a definition. I think when we try to give essence a definition, we put it in our human box. We put it in our limited human understanding. We limit the unlimited. We just begin to explain away something that is unexplainable. And so essence to me has always been something beyond me that I don't have to understand, but in the moment that I connect with it, be open enough to allow myself to experience it. So there's been very many opportunities in my life where I have experienced that essence, that connection, that knowingness, that open book of history that is everything that I am today, yesterday, and always will be. And what's interesting about that is that I think the first time that ever happened, I was 13. I made this connection with, I want to travel the world. There was something in me, and I came from a very, very modest family. I mean, my mother picked tomatoes in the fields. My stepfather worked on water wells. It wasn't like I had this, experience of the Louvre in Paris. I didn't have the architecture of Barcelona, it was just, but this is what I remember, is that I had this connection going, I'm going to go see all these things. That was the first time. The next time, I'm going to give you 3 instances, was when, as a 17-year-old, I became a licensed Baptist minister. So
you're kidding.
Yeah, right? Can you imagine me?
No.
Yeah, and to this day, I can still marry and bury in the state of Texas. And so I became this licensed minister at the age of 17. I was already speaking in groups of 2,000 churches, and it was a very successful time for me because I didn't know that I had this connection with essence. I didn't know what it was all about. But what I did know was that whenever I was done, and I had become this vessel of information, and I had no idea where it came from. It would just flirt out for the hour I was supposed to be up there, and then I would be done, and all these people would come forward, and I would go, "What do they want?" I mean, what am I supposed to do with these people? So that was another brush with essence, and we can connect with essence with just experiencing the leaves falling from a tree, experiencing a baby's laugh, experiencing looking into a dog's eyes and wondering, how could they love me so much? How could they show me that much love? That is essence. Most recently, 4 or 5 years ago, I was in Peru, which is one of my beloved countries. And
Me too.
I travel there quite a bit. And I had the pleasure of working with a shaman that introduced me there to plant medicine and all kinds of things that was going on. And one of the visions that I saw, I had always having connected to my heart. That there was just something there from when I was a little boy that allowed me to penetrate the wall of that a person had and just go right to their heart. Like I could just know when they were sad. I could know what was going on. And that was a scary thing because, you know, I grew up in a little town called Midlothian, Texas, where there were more cows than people. And you don't talk about these things because you get hung by a tree, you know? And I was like,
you don't talk about it.
I'm not going to talk about it. So it wasn't until I was in Peru and I had asked these questions. I used to sit in a boardroom when I was doing business in Manhattan, not know anything about what we were talking about. I'm supposed to negotiate the deal. And I would sit there and open my crown chakra, and all the information would come in, and then I just start talking, and then my business partners would go, "How did you know that?" I didn't. You know, I just downloaded, right? So I was in Peru, and I was in meditation, and a condor came to me and said, "Trust your wisdom." And this is the true connection to essence that I remember the most, which was, again, a few years back. I said, "How do I know? How do I know the things that I know?" And it taught me that I always had known these things because in my past lives, if you believe in that, if you're not believing it, then don't listen to me. In my past life, I had been a heart medicine doctor in all these different indigenous cultures, and they showed everything to me. So essence, what I'm trying to say is it doesn't have to be that drastic, folks. It doesn't have to be like, you know, condors and indigenous people, but true essence is looking in your lover's eyes and seeing your reflection in their eyes because you're looking so intently. That is essence. Stopping and becoming that and experiencing that. That's true essence, and that translates to love. Just rolls right into love, a human experience that we all yearn for. So that's kind of where I go with essence when I hear that word.
I love that. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you for that. What a gorgeous description. Yeah, because it's true. You know, one of the practices we did in my training with my mentor, Heather Ashamara, is looking in each other's eyes. And it's funny because we did that same training in the Four Winds. Like they have us do that. Like look, just gaze softly and gently into each other's eyes to establish that connection to that, which is bigger. And what I noticed is as I was doing that, when you first start to do that, it's super uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's this feeling of being exposed. There's the awkwardness. And you don't want to, you want to kind of turn away and not look. And it's like, ooh, they can see me. And then you can get through that. It's almost like everything just,
yeah.
It's like it opens up. It expands.
You remove the veil.
Yeah, we remove the veil.
Yeah.
I think that's the veil.
It is. And I used to teach in a class that a true self-love is being able to look yourself intently in a mirror. Do this for yourself, even people can't do it. Even when it's just them. Like, what am I going to see? Well, all the things that you've hidden from yourself. And true self-love is being able to look in the mirror intently enough that really, if you look at your eyes in a mirror and you look close enough, you're upside down because that's just the way the eyes process things. And that's when you know you've looked. Most of us get up in the morning and we're halfway to work before we even recognize that we're present to life. We don't see ourselves getting dressed. We go through the motions, we brush our teeth, we take the kids out, we take the dogs out, whatever it is that we're doing. Never really stopping to take that moment to connect. Again, going back to essence, going back to that connection to self, which I think is so important and so lost in this culture. People talk about oneness. I disagree with the movement of oneness for only one reason, is that there cannot be oneness with each other until there's oneness with self.
Oh, thank you.
It's impossible. So if you're going around with oneness all over the place but hate yourself, then that's not oneness. That's fake. That's the veil. You have the veil in front of you and it doesn't work. And so the movement then is stifled by the people that are in it themselves. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so,
Yeah.
yeah, the eyes, I mean, you've heard the cliche, the eyes are the window to the soul.
It's true.
It's true.
Do you know what? I gotta tell you something. So there was a part of my journey where I was involved in some big self-pity because I realized that I remembered that my parents, whenever I didn't like something, because I was vocal about my opinions of things, and they sometimes got tired of listening to me talk about how I didn't like something or whatever, they would go, you know what, you can complain all you want in the bathroom. You can go in there and close the door and look at yourself and complain all you want, right? And there was a part of my journey, I had such self-pity, and I was like, oh, you know, I was never listened to, and that's why I have this big need to be listened to, leading to soul nectar, right? I'm going to be like, still working on my ego. But the thing is like, after I got through the self-pity part, I started realizing what a gift it was, because I can look myself in the mirror with all of my rage, all of my sadness, all of everything, my fear, and I can look at myself in the mirror with it, and I can be there for myself. And I realized that a lot of people don't do that. Like, they actually don't look at themselves in the mirror and coach themselves through their problems.
Right, right. Yeah, and it's so important. It's so important. I don't know how you find yourself to peace and tranquility without peace and tranquility with self. It's fabricated, it's institutionalized, and it's not real. One must. I had the beautiful opportunity to work with a shaman this one time, and I asked him, "What is the true meaning of life?" And he said this very eloquently in Spanish, and I translated it. It's on a YouTube video somewhere. And he said, "Love the divine first, whatever that is. Love you second, and then others." Just like, and he was so eloquent in the way that he said that we connect to that essence, because without that connection, there is no understanding of self-worth. There, you connect to that essence, that energy, that life force, that chi, and then you feel that within our body, you feel that within your heart, you see it radiating through your eyes, and then you know that there's something bigger than you. And then when you connect to that, then you have it all, because then you have something to give. You have something that radiates out from you. Someone asked me once, "Are you spiritual?" I said, "If I have to tell you yes or no, I must be missing the boat. I should never have to define that for you. You should see it radiating from every pore of my body."
Yes. Yes. You know, and it gets me thinking about, you know, part of what we talked about earlier before we started this call was the importance of trusting your heart and following your heart. And, you know, we can't do that if we're not in touch with our heart, and if we're not in touch with our connection to that which is bigger than us. You know, there's a lot of doubt that gets generated. And I think the inspiration is such a fragile thing in the environment of doubt.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I think as human beings, we have to look for that connection. Left to our own devices, we will self-implode. We will self-implode. And that's where our problems come in. When we're dependent on our own mind to find the solutions to something that is not even within us. It's within us, but it has to be activated. It has to be activated, and you activate that by connecting to the divine, whatever that means for you.
Yeah.
There is no other way. You can go all the way back through history, and I don't care if it was, you know, who it was and what kind of work it was. It is always defined by something bigger than themselves. They didn't just come up with it. They didn't take responsibility for that idea. They always said it was just something beyond me. Always.
Yeah, all the poets, all the artists have always said that it's inspiration. They have a muse, you know, they have something that fills them with inspiration. Well, even that is connecting to the divine, you know, it's because it's that which is bigger than you. It's not, it's moving through you. It's not being generated by you, which maybe right. That's a good difference.
Right. Well, I always like to think, someone told me this once, and I have always hung on to it, is that, you know, as a person who speaks and writes and teaches, that anything that comes out of my mouth, anything that I think that I was the first one to do is nonsense. because everything that could have been said has been said throughout the ages. It's just my spin on it. It's just my interpretation, looking through my rose-colored glasses to see the definition of essence. Maybe that doesn't resonate what I said with someone else. That's okay. Your definition's right. I'm giving you a definition that resonates with my soul.
Yes. And people get hung up on that too, Daniel. They get hung up on like, well, there's no new ideas in the world and the inspiration moving through me has already been done before. So why do I do anything? Right. I mean, there's that excuse too for not following our heart, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like, what's the point?
What's the point?
The point is that everybody in this world has their tribe. Everybody in this world has someone. Now think about this. Let's twist the thing here. Let me put it this way. What if you were the person that was brought into this lifetime? Maybe you made a soul agreement with another being before you came here in this incarnation, that you would play a certain role for them. What if you don't play that role? What have you done now? What have you deprived that soul of? What have you deprived that person of because of your inability, unwillingness, and selfishness to believe you don't matter?
Wow. Selfishness to believe you don't matter.
Yeah.
That's a whole new spin.
Oh, you bet. Because now you're being selfish and thinking about yourself. When someone out here, someone you may never meet, needs to hear you. Period. I mean, when I think that, even I get chills right now.
Oh, yeah.
Who are we to deprive people, others, of serving us? Who are we to deprive people from their desire to feel whole by serving me or serving you? Wow, that's a different spin.
That is. So it seems like, if we were going to make a manual, because, my previous job used to be technical writing. So if it was like step one, connect with that which is bigger than you.
Yeah.
Step two, get really present with yourself.
Get present. That's right.
Step three, listen. What's step three? Step three, listen.
And then step four, act.
Act. Yeah.
What is it in you that you're turning down because you don't believe? Everybody has that. Everybody has that something in there that nags at them, but they turn it down so they can't hear it. Which is why they can't look at themselves in the mirror, because then that voice gets louder. See, when you look at yourself intently, you give permission for the voice, for the sounds, for the messages to become present. Well, people don't want to hear it.
That's why they don't look in the mirror.
Exactly. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They want to be right. You see, they have a need to be right.
Thank you for bringing that up.
I'd rather be right than happy. Okay, good for you.
Well, there's also this fear of judgment, so I want you to tell your story because I know a little bit about it. You had to trust your heart. You had a lot of things going for you in what I would call like sort of the domesticated way that we were trained is the right way to do it.
Sure.
And then that wasn't working for you anymore.
Yeah, that happened twice in 20 years. I mean, the first time I was working for Best Buy Electronics, I helped build that company. Everybody knows who that is. Don't tell me your sad stories about Best Buy. Yeah, I know. Horrible customer service. Yeah, and so that was a long time ago. But, I remember being very successful with them. I remember, I didn't have to go anywhere. I really was set. I was one of the good old boys. I started when the company had 50 stores. I mean, I left them when they had 1,300. I was set. And one day in my infinite wisdom, I wake up and I go, I'm not happy anymore. I'm not happy anymore. Now what do I do? And I was in my mid-30s and I was hiring lawyers and doctors that could not find work. And I'm sitting thinking, you're educated. How could you not find work? I mean, isn't that what you went to school for? So you could make all this money and drive the Mercedes-Benz. But that wasn't the truth of life. That was the illusion. And so I remember sitting there looking at these people and going, wow, I don't like this anymore. I'm doing it for the money. I'm doing it because society says I'm supposed to be here. So that was the first time. So I quit. I literally quit. And that was 20 something years ago. And I don't recommend that people do that, but I did. And after going through my 401k and my stock options and everything, and that's a long story, but I won't complete that. But, I found myself into this business that I'm in now. The speaking world was the next thing I wanted to do. And then I became a very, very successful speaker, and making boohoo bucks. I mean, but I was trapped again. I was speaking for the corporations, and I was speaking what they wanted me to speak about, not what my heart was about. And so now here I am, a successful speaker, getting $10,000 to $25,000 an hour to perform. And I, you name it. I was a president of a huge organization in New York City. I was sad. And in a book that I'm writing now, the first chapter is called "I Woke Up from a Lie." Yeah. And I remember waking up. I remember sitting once on the 75th floor of some restaurant, who knows what, with some, a mucky muck thing that I was at, and we're sitting there smoking cigars, and it's snowing outside in Manhattan. And it's one of those picturesque moments where Hallmark card. I mean, it was beautiful.
Like you made it. It's like a big sign. You made it. You made it. The American dream.
Yes, I have made it. I remember sitting there looking out there, watching the big old snowflakes fall, and again, I'm not happy. That's when I say I woke up from a lie, because I had again reached the pinnacle of what society says success was all about. Right? The black cars, the fancy restaurants, the Wall Street, the suits, the shoes, blah, 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 blah. You're going on and on.
The stuff.
Yeah, the stuff. And I was like empty. And then something magical happened, because we went through a stock market crash. I forgot that was in what year that was in, 2008 or no, somewhere around there, 08, 09. And when the market crashed, I lost 90% of my income in 1 month.
Wow.
Not 10%, not 2%, 90. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting in my office in Long Beach, California, and I'm looking around at the wall, and I'm going, look at all this. I'm so well known. I've been on the cover at that time of 2 magazines. I'm got all these accolades. How could I be so well known and so well accomplished and so well broke at the same time? What happened? What happened here? Now I was all gone. And I remember a little voice saying, "Who are you serving? Who are you serving?" And I was like,
I don't want to hear that.
I hear that part, right? And I surely wasn't looking in the mirror then, I can tell you that. And so that prompted again another opportunity for me to go, what makes my heart sing? What makes my heart sing? My heart, what I realized in that moment is that I have always been a servant leader. And when I wasn't a servant leader, then I was serving myself. And when I was serving myself, I was always unhappy. But if I could find a way to be a servant leader and to be in that space where I served people, yet I could still be successful, but I was serving people, not the elite, not the because we have the education or the money or the status that we're here, which I found a lot of elite, they were elitist in the world that I was in. Right. And I didn't agree with that. And it's funny that I was president of the organization because I didn't believe all that. I don't know how I ever ended up as president, but I did. And I was challenged in that moment to say, who are you serving? Mm-hmm. And at that moment, I made a decision again to walk away from it all. And I resigned from my position as president because I was at the end of my term. And I just went into a place where I needed to figure out, who am I? And what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And what do I need to do to find peace and tranquility? And what do I need to do to be that servant leader? I didn't say I don't like leading, because that is something that's within me. That's something I was born with. But how do I become a servant leader so that I'm making a difference at the same time as making a living, at the same time as also fulfilling my own desires in the world? So yeah, it was an incredible moment of clarity, an opportunity for me to really find peace and tranquility, and I did. The world today is mixing work and play, and there's no line there. There's no line between when I'm working and when I'm playing, because it's all the same. And serving people by continually connecting to that essence, connecting to that what, as you say, that nectar, that beautifulness, and today's world needs that. because we've lost our way. I think it was just natural that it was coming as a globe, that we would find ourselves, I owe, so off to work I go. And if that's the reason why you're going to work, then it's the wrong reason to be living. And I've seen, people wake up one day and they have cancer, or they have this and they have that, and maybe they don't have much time to live. I have never met a single person, successful or sick, that said they wanted more money when they realized they were unhappy. They wanted more time. And that's something that we're not allotted when time's up. And so, that's why I made that transition again. And today, I'm happy. And guess what, folks? For those of you that are in the corporate world that are listening to this, for those of you that believe you can't do that, I went from the boardroom to shaman. I went and back, because today I am working with big companies, and guess what they're asking me to talk about? Spirituality. That's
Yes.
about essence, about being present, because I was able to connect the fact that if I could teach people to stop for 60 seconds in one day, that equated to 20% productivity to the bottom line of any corporation. All of a sudden their ears are going, what? Money, what? And so I had to find my true self and teach what I am, my essence. I had to teach love. I always said, when I think back to those days as a minister, and I only did that for a few years and then realized, whoa, I don't want no part of this, and I realized that really all my life I have been happy and willing and gravitating toward teaching what Buddha and Jesus both taught. And that's the laws of love. The laws of love. Forget everything else, religion and everything else. If we can just stick to love and compassion, understanding, forgiveness, and we can just put our nails into that, then we can find that peace and tranquility that we look for in our lives. And that doesn't mean, by the way, I want to say this, that we have to be poor at it. I want to say that because people will say, well, I must have to be poor, that God loves the poor. Well, the last time I checked, he loved the rich too. You can decide which side you want to be on. I want to be on the other side. That makes sense to me. And so think about that, folks. I mean, that is where I believe that people, that's why looking in the mirror is so important, and seeing your essence, because you came here to this world with a message for somebody or somebodies. And to not deliver that, I think, is a tragedy, human tragedy.
Yes. And to not deliver it for yourself, to not really admit it to yourself, to not tell yourself the truth.
Sure.
Is a travesty.
It is. It is.
Because you don't find out who you really are. And, I noticed it when I made my own journey. I knew I've always been this person that's been a rebel, so.
Me too.
I've always been a rebel. I've never wanted to fit into the matrix. And so I was always a consultant. And when I made the shift, I actually, for the very brief time, for a few years, had been a remote employee. For my biggest client wanted to hire me as a full-time employee. And I was in the middle of a divorce, and I didn't have the energy to go replace that client. So I said, okay, I'll be an employee for right now. Although I object highly to it, is what I told my manager. But I took that job remote. And when I started on this path, it's like I got tapped on the shoulder because of my own personal healing. I got this passion was lit up inside me, like, oh my gosh, this healing stuff really works. Like, this is a pathway to feeling better and being connected. And what was it doing? It was connecting me to spirit. It was connecting me to my essence, to that which is bigger than me. And I got so passionate about sharing that with people. I knew it was my calling. And I started being called then to step out and go create a business for that, and go talk to people at networking meetings about it, and step out. And meanwhile, I'm leaving my computer that has the LinkedIn or the little message thing on there. That I might be messaged while I'm gone at this networking meeting, and there's all this fear, they're going to know that I'm not doing my job. And luckily I had enough spiritual training to just kind of notice that and go, wow, that's a lot of fear. That's a lot of fear and control.
Control is a big one.
And I think a lot of people face that in our current society is, if you don't conform, there is a lot of fear about stepping out of that matrix of control. and letting it go in favor of something that's more free, more natural, more really who you are.
Yeah, and I think it's important also to note for those that do have rigid jobs, or I mean, not everyone can leave corporate. There'll be nobody there. You know,
Yeah. We just need to show up there in a different way, I think.
Exactly. I think that we need to find peace and tranquility within our work. I said this at an event that I was speaking at a couple years ago in Manhattan. We've lost our connection to our humanness. We're not machines. We're not designed to be machines. We're not designed to be driven like machines. And when we lose our connection to our humanness, when we lose our ability to connect to ourselves, when we lose our ability to breathe in the moment, we have completely lost our way. And that's really where we're at. And so my message for people in those situations is breathe. Find 60 seconds. Find 60 seconds and just connect to you just 60 seconds. You know, I make fun of things like, you know, before you answer the phone, it's okay if it rings a few times. You don't have to pick it up just because it rang. That's not being mindful. That's being, you're reacting to life. And when we react to life, we end up dead of a heart attack in our 40s. You know, we're not designed to do that. And if we can just give ourselves that gift of 60 seconds, we'll find our humanness. And I know that every human being that ever connects to that essence, that connects to the essence of their humanness, always is able to realize and remember who they are. And it's not that, it's a remembering of who we are, not something you discover. You don't discover who you are, you remember who you are. You've always been that. You've always been who you are, but we mask it. That's why we don't look in the mirror. And maybe looking in the mirror is painful. It's painful because you got to get past the drug use, the alcohol abuse, the food abuse, the relationship abuse, you name it, just goes on and on. And then we have to face that person, and that's scary because when you rip all that stuff away, you're left with you. And that's what we don't do well, is us. We don't do ourselves well. So we get connected to all kinds of stuff only to wake up again, like I said, and wonder what happened to life. What happened to those dreams when you were a little kid? You know, you said you were going to be blah, blah, blah. What happened to that?
Yeah. What happened to the enthusiasm? What happened to the...
Yeah.
And, you know, those kinds of episodes like you had, you know, or like I had, like where, you know, I just burned the whole forest down of my life, you know, it's so liberating because then you don't have anything to lose.
And I want to say this because I think it's important. I always try to put things in terms of reality. And reality, the reality is that life is not always easy for me just because I chose mine. As a matter of fact, it's even more difficult sometimes because I am faced with the reality that I am the common denominator in my life. And so everything revolves around my decisions. And if I don't believe that, then I'm in denial. You know, I am the common denominator in every experience that I have in my life. And so life sometimes is great, sometimes it's not. You know, as a teacher, I feel that it's prudent that we let our students know that we don't have perfect days. And I can get on the freeway in Los Angeles and all of a sudden my hand's doing something it shouldn't do.
Does it involve a bird?
Spiritual. You know, but I laugh at myself because I recognize that I'm human. Mm-hmm. And to say that I'm not, and that I don't have elements, I don't do stupid things is ridiculous. I am here on a human journey. I was brought here to be on a human journey. We can't be so heavenly bound that we're no earthly good. We got to live on this earth. And that means that we're privy to the human condition. And anyone who tells you that, run the opposite direction as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Because it's not true. We all are privy to the human condition. Some people may hide it well. Some people may hide it well, but they're still human and they still have the human condition. And so when we can excuse ourselves and laugh at ourselves about that, then we can begin to find some humor in life. And, you know, I laugh at myself all the time. You know, I'll be driving down the road and go, well, that was really stupid of me to do that. You know, and just laugh it off and move on. Okay, you know, and I'll share it in some class. Oh, you wouldn't believe what I did. And people are like, wow, this spiritual guru went and did that. I'm like, shut up. I remember with the Dalai Lama, I just love the Dalai Lama. I was watching a videotape where he was speaking to a big audience. You're going to laugh. I can't believe we were sharing this. But the Dalai Lama did it, so I'm just repeating what he did. So he's up there, and he's sitting there, and I just loved him for this. And he says, you ever tried to pass gas on a plane? That's hard. And he starts to think it's going to be really quiet. I'm going, yes, Dalai Lama. Yeah. Yeah, right. You wouldn't expect that. Come on. You're the Dalai Lama. He's just saying, get over it. I'm just like you.
Yeah. And so we have to be present with all that we are and acceptance of all that we are and really face our truth. And the beautiful thing that can happen when we do that is that we can start to rebuild our lives more in alignment with who we really are, you know, who we are in truth. And that can lead to these, you know, following your heart and being brave enough to be honest with yourself leads to that kind of inspiration of like, oh, I have this big dream now. I want to go do this. So talk about trusting the divine plan. How do we do that?
Trusting the divine plan is, I think, as I said earlier, about trusting yourself. You know, I think all of us, I'll put it this way. I was listening to an audio once by Les Brown. I love Les Brown. And he was talking to his students, and he was saying, he asked a question, where's the richest soil in the world? And someone raised their hand, Saudi Arabia for the oil, the Middle East, no. Africa for the diamonds, no. And everybody went on and on. He says, no. He says, the richest soil in the world is in your local cemetery. Because there, my friends, are all the could-have-beens, the scientists, the mothers, the doctors, the lawyers that could have been, but they went to their grave with their dreams. That is the richest soil in the world. And I remember driving down the road, crying, going, I don't want to be it, I don't want to be that, I don't want to be that. You know, and it's so true that it's not necessarily what's killing us, it's what's dying in us while we're living. I mean, that's the thing that scares me most, is I don't want what's inside to die while I'm living. That's the worst kind of death, to sit back in quiet desperation, whether you're in a bad marriage, a bad relationship, a bad job, or whatever, and allowing yourself to be in that space, dying while you're living. That's not fun. And so pursuing your passion and people say, well, I can't do that. Stop it. We're so linear in our thinking. There's so many possibilities. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a lawyer, client of mine in London the other day, and I said, she was like, wait, you know, blah, 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 you know, I don't like working for corporations, blah, 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 blah. I said, what? I'm tired of hearing what you don't like. What do you like? And she, you know, finally started saying, I love to work with people, and I love to work with, I think she was saying nonprofits or something like that. I said, okay, so you obviously do well with corporate as a corporate attorney. Why not work for a corporate nonprofit? And she had never, ever thought about that. Never crossed her mind that that was a possibility. It doesn't mean you have to quit your job, folks, and do maybe what Karen and I have done. It means you have to open your mind. If you're trained in if you're an accountant and you're tired of working for the big five, maybe, and you love underwater basket weaving, well, guess what? Someone's got to count their money too. You know, at the end of the day, it's expanding our awareness. Everything that we could, listen to this, everything you could possibly desire is at the fingertips of your awareness. And the only thing you have to do is expand that awareness beyond your understanding and experience, because human beings can only see what they've experienced. They only see the same tape going over and over again. So we got to expand that. We got to move that out and say what's possible. So then your dreams become a reality. As you were saying earlier, maybe a step at a time. And maybe, okay, I stay a lawyer, but I stay a lawyer in a field that makes me happy, a field that really does help people. And then maybe the next step is, okay, I did that. Now I want to become the president of a nonprofit and serve that way, whatever it may be. I think that the possibilities are endless, you know. And I feel fortunate that at 35, I had the gall to quit the way I did. I don't think I would do that today, but I mean, I'm glad that I did, and I pursued this world that I live in today, and I'm doing what I love doing. And do I enjoy the luxuries of those crazy $1,200 dinners and whatever we used to do? No, I don't. I don't know that I could again, but I do know this, that pursuing my dreams has allowed me a level of peace and tranquility. I'm going to give you a test. And everybody, like, I have a watch on, I got a Fitbit. And everyone's always asking me, how do you know if you have peace and tranquility? Well, use your watch, use your phone, all of it does it. Test your resting heart rate. Test your resting heart rate. And if it's over a certain amount, and then go on the internet and say, for the age of 53, what is a good resting heart rate? And if it's in the 80s, you're going to die. And if it's in the 50s, you're doing good. That is a true barometer of where you're at and what's going on here. Because this affects the heartbeat. This up here.
Yes, it does.
Right? I could have worked myself into a frenzy. And so what I was trying to say is that my heart rate on an average basis, because I tested it for an entire month, is below the national average for a man my age, which means I better be careful. I won't be breathing in a while.
Well, there's this whole website. What's it called? Heart Math?
Yeah, exactly. So that is a true barometer. If you really want to know where you're at and your heart rate's way up there, then you don't have peace and tranquility. Something is eating you, and you need to get to that. And maybe you do baby steps. Maybe it's, and people say, really, to follow my true passion, but I used to like to paint. And people think, well, I can't become an artist. No, but you can be creative.
You can give yourself the outlet to do that.
You can, exactly. You can do that. There's so many things, but following your true dreams is about trusting your heart. It's about trusting that essence we talked about, and it's about trusting yourself. And I guess, you got to understand this. We live in a very volatile world. We don't know if we have tomorrow. We don't know if we have next year. We don't know where our world and country will be at. Why wait until it's too late? Why wait until it's too late to make a decision to live more happy, a more fulfilling life? At the end of the day, like I said, there was a study done by 10 to 12 multi-billionaires on their deathbed. All but one said, I want more time with my family, my friends. And they made all that money to spend the rest of their life buying health, which they couldn't do, right? And so I want to encourage you to seek that essence, seek that connection to something bigger than yourself. Seek, because when you do that, it's impossible not to all of a sudden be thinking about your dreams. It's impossible, because when you connect to that, your heart opens up and it flowers up. And all of a sudden you begin to feel again. And when's the last time you really looked at a leaf on a tree, or the last time you really felt the wind on your face? Not I felt it because it was cold. I felt it because I was asking it for permission to teach me something. When is the last time you did that? When is the last time you walked in the grass, in the mud, or walked in the rain without an umbrella? I mean, we used to do this stuff, all of us. That is connecting. That is the juice. That is the soup that inspires our dreaming. That is the soup that inspires us to live more vibrantly. And so I encourage you to do that. I mean, today, go out today.
Yeah, today, don't wait.
Yeah, don't wait. Right now, leave this video. Go out.
Step out of your limitations, step out of those self-imposed limitations, or how you're told it was supposed to be, or your image of what you thought you were going to be in order to be successful. Like all of that, just assume it's false, and then come into the heart and check and say, what really is true for me in this moment?
I got
present.
Yesterday, I was thinking about, these are the moments when I'm thankful, so connected and thankful. Yesterday at 7 in the morning, I had to take my son to his track meet, and it was bone-chilling cold, and I had this thing across my face, and I had the flu, and I had my jacket up, and all you could see was my glasses. I was all wrapped up, and I remember, and I'm watching my son getting ready for his track meet, and I remember thinking to myself, this is why I do what I do, because I can come here. I can be here for him. I can support him the way I want to support him, because I don't have to say my job didn't let me. My job does not define me. And having the opportunity to do something like that, or wake up in the morning and take a longer walk with the dog because I wanted to, because that was my choice to do that. Not because and still get to do something like this, Carrie, and be on the air with you for whatever time that we're on, and this is part of what I do. This is play for me, but it's work. I'm not blurring the lines between play and work and saying, hey, you can do this. We live in a world that doesn't require that we sit in a cubicle 8 hours a day. It does not require that, especially with the internet. I mean, we're connected. You're I think in Texas, and I'm in California, and I feel like I'm sitting across having coffee from you. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
So that's what dreaming's about, is giving yourself permission. That's a good word. Give yourself permission today. Forget tomorrow, forget yesterday. Right now, give yourself permission. Grab a pen and paper when this video is over with and write down what were my dreams, what are my dreams, and what one step can I take to make that a reality.
And dream big, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
dream really big. I mean, because don't dream small. Dream so big you need help. This is from you.
Well, I remember I posted once. I did a speech in Hollywood last year, and I said I remember having a dream, and I had the opportunity to visit with the divine, to God. I'm gonna use the word God, and I remember sitting in there, and I'm in this dream, and it's kind of like a boardroom, and I'm like, well, where's God? I mean, what does he look like? And I never really saw him, but this light thing, and you can see the smoke, really dramatic, right? And I'm sitting there, and you hear this, what do you want? I'm like, well, what kind of God is that, man? Come on, give me a little love here. What do you hear? I said, I have a question for you. He said, what's that? I said, how big can I dream? And I didn't hear an answer, and then I heard, how big can you dream? I said, yeah, that's my question. How big can I dream? And after a short minute, everything got quiet, and the answer was, so big that only I can help you. And I thought, wow, so big that only I can help you. And I thought, that's beautiful. And I started to walk away and say, wait a minute, one more thing. You must be willing to let go of fear, doubt, and disbelief, because I don't live there. I live in the possibilities of love. And when you are not connected to fear, doubt, and disbelief, you are connected to the essence of love. And that's where I exist.
And you just made me cry.
Isn't that beautiful? Mm-hmm. Even I got chills.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
Feel that.
So let go of fear, doubt, and disbelief, and dream so big that only the divine can help you. That's when you know you've dreamed big enough.
Oh, I love that. What a beautiful place to, oh my gosh, Daniel, thank you for what a beautiful moment of connection.
Yeah.
See, that for me is soul nectar, what I just experienced from hearing that from you. That's my soul nectar.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it gets me in my heart. It gets me knowing that my heart is leading the way. Because what am I doing? I've launched this platform that I need help from God to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I want to change the world, Daniel.
You will. And you are. And you are.
Yeah.
If it's not love, it's not the divine.
Yeah. It's all about love, man. I just want people to hug each other and I want one big world hug, like exactly. Let's just do it now. Stop fighting.
I love it.
So, well, I think we're gonna wrap up our conversation because that's such a beautiful place to leave it. I don't even know where else to go from there. So, and I want to invite you to tell us anything you want to share with about your programs or any special offer you have for the audience. It's your time.
Well, I do have an offer for you, but I also want people to know that 3 times a year, I lead people on spiritual journeys to Peru. And all they have to do is go to my website. And I think you'll provide that for them.
Yes.
And under global events, and you'll see 3 trips I'm taking in the summer. I'm building a spiritual center in Peru. And so this also helps in making that a reality so that I can bring people there. And the name of the center is called Richari. And Richari in Quechua means to awaken. And I want to, it's going to be a place for people to come and connect to themselves, getting them away from their corporate work, getting away from their families, getting away from their sickness, getting away from whatever it is that they need to get away from, to really awaken to the possibilities of their own dreams and their own heart. And so I encourage you to join me this summer on this journey in May, June, and July. There's 3 trips I'm going to be taking people. So go check it out. It's a great trip. And then I have they provided a link for you. I've had the honor of interviewing some of the most powerful speakers in the world. Deborah Poneman, my friend in Canada, I can't remember her name, Elizabeth Fate. There's 7 CDs, and I have they're there for you for the taking. You know, there's 7 different ones because there's 7 different teachers that do 7 different things. Listen, don't listen to anything, this video, or all the other videos she has, or any audios, and say to yourself, I don't believe this. Rather than listen to it and say, what can I apply? What is the 10% that I'm willing to let into my heart? And so these 7 audios, MP3s, are there for you. You can listen to them. They talk anywhere from money to relationships, all kinds of stuff. And so that's my gift to you for giving us this beautiful time together. And you know what? I hope I see you in Peru. It would be great to see you. And you can contact me through Carrie. I'm very open. I do answer emails. I don't have people doing that for me, because I believe if you take the time and you have a need, that I should answer personally.
Beautiful, Daniel. Oh my gosh. What a gorgeous person. What a wonderful conversation. So beautiful, so inspiring. I know we touched so many lives with this today, and that makes me feel a lot of joy. And I'm going to end this call and be crying, but because I'm so happy right now.
All right.
But I want to do one more thing, which is that I love to share kisses with everybody. So here, you ready to receive some kisses, Daniel?
Yeah.
Here they come. Mwah.
I love it.
Sending love everywhere.
Namaste.
Bye, everybody.